All right, so I really don't think that people realize how powerful commercial real estate can be. So by the end of this video, I'm going to show you how commercial real estate can change your life in just 12 months, like it did mine. So kind of go over an outline here that I made, just giving some examples of why it is way different than residential real estate and actually how it can change your life. So do you ever look at, wealthy people and successful people and think like, how do those people make so much money? Like, I don't think I could ever do that, because I used to have those thoughts. Like, there's no way that I could go in here and make the amount of money. You see people driving fancy cars and having these fancy houses and stuff. And, kind of depends on what your goals are. That's not necessarily my goals. But looking at those people can be easy to say, I don't know if I'd ever be able to do that. So I'm going to give you an example here of how you could actually do that. It's a lot easier than you think. It's not, the concept is easy. Obviously you have to put in work and it's challenging, but the concept is easy. So, the main reason that commercial real estate is different than residential real estate and how these people are able to make so much money from it is because it is valued on the income. It is not valued on comps in certain scenarios. And I'll get into that in a minute. So residential real estate is valued on comps, which is comparable sales. So basically, if you buy a house in a neighborhood and the house down the street sells for $400,000. If you buy a house for $400,000 and then you go in and put $100,000 into that house to renovate the cabinets and the countertops and do the flooring and stuff, that house is not going to be worth $500,000. Is it going to be worth maybe like $425,000? Maybe. But if the nicest house in the neighborhood sold for $400,000, then it's not going to be, you're not just going to be able to force value like that. It's only going to be able to sell for whatever the highest house in that neighborhood sold for. So that's comps. Commercial real estate is valued on the income. And there's a caveat that I'll get into later, but it's valued on the income when there's obviously a tenant in place or there's income in place. So I'm going to give you two real life examples from my journey. One of them is in 2021. I bought a duplex in the town I'm from for $285,000. I did this with a partner, and we got it at a good deal. At the time, it was worth probably $325,000. We went 50-50 on it. We used his VA loan to finance it because he was in the military. He lived there for a year and then he moved out, and we rented it. But we had to come up with about $12,000 out of pocket, which, it's not a small amount of money, but it's very possible. It's very possible to get $12,000 and do that. And so fast forward to today, that property is now worth probably, it's been 4 years. So it's probably worth about $350,000. Now you might say that's pretty good. That's pretty good. But if you factor in things like the HVAC and the roof and all the things that could go wrong with a single family property, you could pretty quickly wipe out your gain. So let's say 285 to 350. That's what? $65,000. So that's $65,000 across 4 years. So let's see here. 65,000 divided by 4 is 16,250. Now, is that a good amount of money if you're going to add that on top of your income every year? Sure. But like I said, if your HVAC breaks, a residential HVAC, I just had to do it on my personal house, it was $12,000. So that could wipe out a lot of your gain right there. That's one of the downsides of residential real estate. Now, I'm not completely bashing residential real estate. That's how I started. I do think it's a good way to start and kind of practice, but you can jump right into commercial real estate. And yeah, that's pretty good. I actually skipped right over the, I got right into the examples, but I skipped right over my introduction. So if you're new here, I've been in commercial real estate for about 7 years as a broker. I've done over 100 transactions, investment sales, business owner users, all that stuff. And I think it was like 2 years into my brokerage journey, I started investing in residential real estate. Now that I'm about 7 years into it, this previous year, I realized, you know what? I sell commercial real estate and I see the results of it. I see the benefits. Let me get into commercial real estate investing instead of residential real estate investing. And, I had probably like a lot of you guys, some limiting beliefs thinking, I couldn't do that. It's too hard. It's too challenging. But that's simply not true. So in 2024, I shifted to focus on commercial real estate, and we acquired, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7 buildings, 7 different buildings. Now, commercial real estate, a lot of the times you're not buying a deal and you're getting 100% ownership. You can, but typically you're going to be doing it with partners and lots of partners. So 4 of those buildings, I only own a very small stake in. And then 1 of them I own an even smaller stake in. And then 2 of them I own a large stake in. So I don't want to sit here and say in 2024 I bought 7 buildings and own all of them. No, definitely not. But I was able to get equity in 7 different buildings, a lot of equity in 2 of them. And me and my business partner Jesse started a podcast to document kind of the whole journey. So that's an introduction to me, but getting down here, back down here. So we went over our duplex example. In about 4 years, made about $65,000, and that's not bad. But this example is what's really, I think, going to open your eyes and how commercial real estate can just change your life, literally. So we bought, the first one we bought in 2024 was a small warehouse, 6,000 square feet, which that sounds big, but in the industrial world, that's pretty small. We bought it for $250,000, which was already a good deal. It was probably worth about $300,000 when buying it. So we bought it vacant with a partner, same partner as the duplex. And since we bought it empty, like I said before, there was a caveat. It was valued on the comps. So it is valued on what other empty buildings are selling for. That can be good or bad depending on the scenario, because an owner user, somebody who's going to use it for their business, might pay more for it. So anyways, we had to come up with $60,000. Which is, like I said, I understand a lot of you guys watching this are probably new or curious about commercial real estate. That sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money. But if you learn this or partner with somebody who knows how to do all this stuff, then you can probably, you can raise $60,000. So let's see. We spent about 4 months marketing it. So we bought it. Let me back up. We bought it for $250,000. We put $60,000 down. That's about a 25% down payment. And then we spent 4 months marketing it. A lot of that was while we were under contract. We gave ourselves a long runway. And then we finally found a tenant. We leased the building for $3,000 a month, and that was triple net, which is key. And now, because we did that, it's valued on the income. It is valued on the income. It's not valued on the comps anymore because we have a tenant, and it's an investment property. Now, I could go into triple net and all these other things and cap rate. I'll save that for another video, but to put it simply, triple net means the tenant is responsible for your taxes, your insurance, and your maintenance. So if the HVAC breaks, obviously you want to deliver it and be a good person, and you want to be, you want to have ethics and good morals, and you want to deliver it with the HVAC in working order, knowing that. But beyond that point, as long as you deliver everything in working order, then you have it in your lease that they're responsible for it. The other thing to note too, you can say, hey, if you want the building and you want some free rent for, let's say, 2 or 3 months, you can take the space as is. So it's like, then it's eliminating a lot of your risk, and you don't have to come out as much out of pocket as much. So that's actually what we did. We gave them 3 months of free rent, and they took the space as is and renovated it versus spending more money to renovate it. So we bought it for $3,000 a month. We bought it, leased it for $3,000 a month. And now it's valued on the income. So let me show you how that math works. It is $3,000 a month times 12, which equals $36,000. So $36,000 divided by the market cap rate, and I'll explain that a little bit more in a second, equals $423,000. So that's now what it's valued at. The cap rate is basically, to put it, it can be complex and confusing, but to put it as simply as possible, cap rate is like a snapshot of the return if you were to buy it in cash for that year. So like if we paid $423,000 for it now times a 0.085, so 8.5% return, that equals roughly your net income of $36,000. That's how to look at it very simply. I'll probably make another video later explaining that in more depth. But so now that it's leased for $3,000 a month, triple net, that's valuable to an investor. Somebody else can come along. They don't want to do all the work. They don't want to buy it empty and take on that risk. And they don't want to put in the work of leasing the building and negotiating with the tenant and doing all that stuff. So they're buying it at a premium, and they're saying, okay, I'm happy to pay $423,000 to get an 8.5% return on my money. Now, the cap rate is typically dictated by your market. This is a little bit more of a third tertiary market, so the cap rate is slightly higher. Also, interest rates are around 7 to 7.5% at the time of filming this. So cap rates are pretty correlated to interest rate. But anyways, the moral of the story here, $423,000 minus $250 our purchase price. That's $173,000. $173,000. And we did that in 6 months. That's crazy. So that's not at all to brag. 0% to brag. I just want to show you that if you understand commercial real estate and know how to leverage it, you can make a tremendous amount of money, a life-changing amount of money in that amount of time. Now, you're probably saying, well, you didn't make that because you didn't sell it. Yeah, that's right. So this is, technically a paper gain, and that's in our net worth. But we could go sell it and get 8.5%, sell it to somebody for 8.5% return and make that money. Or a lot of people do, they go and refinance. But anyways, I hope this was helpful and kind of shows you how commercial real estate is valued, how it can change your life in 12 months, like it did mine. One last thing, guys. I'm going to create some kind of product, whether it's either a course or a guide, or maybe it's like one-on-one sessions to where I can help. I'm definitely not the greatest commercial real estate investor ever, but I do have 7 years of experience in brokerage, and I just this last year bought quite a few properties, so I've learned a tremendous amount. And my target audience and the people I want to talk to is people who don't know how to get into commercial real estate. So they're either brand new in commercial real estate, or they are maybe residential investors and they want to transition into commercial real estate. So I don't quite know what that is yet. It might be just some free coaching calls that I do in the beginning to kind of get down the questions and things that you guys need help with. So if that's something you're interested in, I'm going to put a link in the description. Definitely check that out. And then also be sure to check out our podcast. There's tons of free content in our podcast. We interview really, really cool guests. We interview people who have multiple $100 million portfolios. And we also interview people who've just gotten their first or second deal. And there's some really valuable information there. I wish I had that when I first started out. So anyways, thank you so much for watching.